So for today's lesson, we are going to be looking at congruent triangles. So far, we've looked at how to classify triangles and how to find the missing measures. But sometimes when we look at triangles, we're not going to be given all of the measures for the sides and the angles. And a way to find that is to look at triangles that are similar or congruent. So congruent triangles are triangles with the same shape and size. So this means that all corresponding parts, angles and sides, are the same. And so when we're given two triangles that are claimed to be congruent, we will write congruency statements. And this is when triangles are congruent, we can list the points to show that the triangles are congruent. So here we have triangle ABC is congruent to DEF. Now, one thing you need to know when writing congruency statements is that the points have to align. You can't just randomly pick points to say that they're congruent. I couldn't say triangle BAC is congruent to FED. When we list the points to identify whether a triangle is congruent, we have to match them up to the congruent angle. So for example, when we look at these two triangles, here at triangle A, we have one little curve, okay? And we use these dashes to indicate whether there's another similar feature on another triangle. So here, point A, or angle BAC, is congruent to angle EDF. So point A and D align. Now, for point B, the angle that aligns would be over here at point E. How did I come up with that? Well, it has two swishes. And for point C, to figure out which angle is similar or what point is similar, it has three swishes, and F has three swishes. So when I'm making my congruency statement, I'm listing them in the order. So I can change up the order on the first one I say. So here we have A, B, C. So we go from one swish to two swish to three swish. When I go here, I have to do them in the same order that they're similar. So A has to line up with D, B has to line up with E, and C has to line up with F. So let's say I change this up and I didn't do ABC. When I'm writing my congruency statement, let's say I chose to do CAB, CAB. I do my similarity or my congruent symbol. When listing the next one, I have to do the same swish first. So which point aligns or similar or congruent to C? So three swishes, that would be F. Oh, let me draw my triangle first. Triangle F. So, and if you look up here, it's in the same spot too. So next we do A. A has one swish in this triangle. D has one swish. And for B, B has two swish. E has two swishes. CAB is congruent to triangle FDE. And if you look, it's the same order as up here, except everything's shifted down. And you have to align those angles to show that those are the points that are congruent, and it helps us look at future problems. Because let's say I did triangle ACB is congruent to EDF. Okay, so this statement right here is showing me that A is congruent to E. A has one swish, E has two swishes. That doesn't match up. It's not showing that they're the same measure. C is congruent to D, three swishes, one swoosh. F is congruent to B, two and three swishes. So this would not work. That's why it's very important that a valid congruency statement must match all corresponding angles and sides. So they have to be listed in order. Now, you will see in our notes, or sometimes on work problems, you'll see CPCTC. What the heck does that mean? Okay, it is an acronym for corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Kind of similar to what we did up here at the top, okay? So corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So let's look at some examples. Directions: list all congruent angles and sides given the congruency statement. So we have a statement, triangle JKL is congruent to PQR. Now remember, because of the order, we can know which points are congruent. So first, let's start with our angles. Okay, let's list our angles of our first triangle. Angle J, angle K, angle L. And we gotta draw our congruent sign. Because of the way it's written, I know that angle J is congruent to P. Angle K is congruent to angle, forgot my angle side, Q, and L congruent to R. Okay, now for our sides, I did not talk about that up here, so let's go back here for a second, look up here. When we're talking about sides, it's the same policy as we do with angles. So I know because of the order and the way it's written that they're similar. So AB 1 dash is similar to DE 1 dash. BC 2 dashes, EF 2 dashes. CA 3, FD 3. So the order and the congruency statement matters. So coming down here, okay, let's say I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, I don't understand. I can't just think this mentally. Draw it. Hopefully it will not fail you if you draw it out. So let's do JKL and PQR. Now it especially helps when you're drawing your picture to do it in the same order. It will help you visually. So we know our first two. So let's do J to K 1 dash, P to Q 1 dash, K to L 2 dashes, QR 2 dashes, and RP 3 dashes and LJ 3. So now looking at this, I can see which sides are similar. So JK has 1 dash, PQ has 1 dash. So JK is congruent to PQ. KL congruent to QR. And RP is congruent to JL. Ooh, bad swish. All right. Now, finally, we have to write another valid congruency statement, kind of like what we did up here at the top when we just moved it over. The same will go for right here. So we could just shift it once. So let's do triangle KLJ. I moved it all over 1. Well, let's say you can't visualize it, move it over 1. Look at your squares. So we started here. KLJ is congruent to QRP. Voila. This problem, I'm going to let you practice and do on your own. All right, given triangle KPM is congruent to triangle AYC, complete each of the following statements. All right, so our first point is K. Well, actually, first when approaching this problem, okay, it looks like you have a lot of information. But as you notice, there's no tick marks on your triangles. And this is a way that you can get confused, is when you just rush through and you don't do a drawing and you just go bloop, 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 okay? It's an easy way to make mistakes. So I strongly suggest doing a picture verse. Because if you notice, KPM, AYC, it's not drawn the same orientation. So you can make some mistakes. So let's do our angles first. K is congruent to A, one swish. P, two swishes. It's congruent to Y, two swishes. And then C, 1, 2, 3, is congruent to M, 1, 2, 3. And if that's not enough to help, let's do your sides. KP, one tick, is congruent to AY, one tick. And if you also notice here, your one tick is between one swish, two swish, one swish, two swish. PM is congruent to YC, boop. And MK, 1, 2, 3, is congruent to CA, 1, 2, 3. Another way that also help you, draw another triangle the same orientation as your first. So you can tell if this is going to help make or have you make mistakes, flip it, turn it. So up at the top we have our one swish. A has our one swish. So let's draw our A there. One swish. Because our tick marks, since we're turning it, our tick marks are going to be the same. Two swishes is our Y, and our three swishes are going to be our C. By turning it, this is going to help us reduce the mistakes we make over here. So KM is congruent to AC. C, oh, I almost made a mistake going back to here. CY has two dashes, is congruent to PM. PK, YA. Now angles. So we're gonna have our angle sign, because y'all know I forget. That will be our triangle signs. So angle Y, two swishes. Which one up here has two swishes? P does, so angle P. K has one, A has one. Now, this is just increasing the number of points it's taking to tell you which one is indicating, but C is our middle. So ACY is congruent to KMP. Finally, we're going to write different congruency statements. Okay, it's just shifting the letters. So here, if you look at it, it's backwards. So this will be backwards. C, Y, A. Triangle YAC, YAC, it starts in the middle. So it will be P. So A is next. P, K, M. All right, first page of notes done. All right, let me see. Okay. Number 4, given triangle STW is congruent to BFN, find each missing measure. Okay. Number 5, you're going to do on your own. Okay. It's the same problems we've been doing before, except now we're just putting numbers to it. So we have to do our dashes first. So STW, so let's do 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. It's congruent to B. B will be 1, F will be 2, and N will be 1, 2, 3. All right. The nice thing about angles, well, the nice thing about all of this is we have numbers, but they're just in different areas. So here we know the 3 swishes is 82. Over here, which has 3 swishes, W, 82 degrees. If you notice, that's number D, 82 degrees. But let's look at BN first. Kind of got ahead of myself. So BN, it goes from 1 swish to 3 swishes. 1 swish to 3 swishes, so that's 9. So we could do a tick mark there. 9 cm, always include units. TW, 2 swishes to 3 swishes. Let's do 2 tick marks. 2 swishes to 3 swishes. 2 tick marks, 14 centimeters. And BF, our hypotenuse, 1, 2, 3. Let's look over here between 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 17 centimeters. When you get the angles, you just gotta match. So 1 to 1, 67 degrees. F, 2, okay. Here's where our previous lessons come through. We don't have a measure for 2, so how do we find F? Well, how many degrees in our triangle? 180 degrees equals 82 plus 67 degrees plus, you say angle F. And you're gonna solve and find that. I'm not gonna tell you that answer. All right, you are gonna do number 5 on your own. For number 6, I'm gonna have you do number 6 on your own, 7 on your own. I will do 8 together and you will do 9 on your own. And those will be checked during a drive-by tomorrow. But one thing I do want to note about this, start by drawing your tick marks. So let's do U, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now for TSR, do the same. So T is 1, S has 2, and R has 3. Okay, we got our angles, but we're also looking at our sides. So between 1 tick mark and 2, 1 and 2, those are similar. So as you can already see, 12x minus 7 equals 53. And then you solve for x. For 50, between 1 and 3, 1 and 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 50 is equal to 3z plus 14. Now for y, these 57 is equal to 5y minus 33. And solve. Okay. Here, it's the same thing we've done up here, except they don't give you the triangles. So draw it out in order. So D, E, F, triangle D, E, F, similar to J, K, L. D, E, oh, let me